Cool. So we've got the recording going now, which means if you have to drop out at any point or if you aren't able to make it, then you will be able to catch up on the webinar. No problem at all. So let's get things started then. For those of you who don't know, my name's Dan. I've worked here at Convertri for over 3.5 years now. I do a load of stuff around mainly products and marketing, but I have also worked on the support desk when I first started. So you may have come across me there a few years ago, or if not in the Facebook group, or maybe even on one of these webinars in the past as well. So if you have, then it's nice to see you again. And if not, then it is nice to meet you. And thanks for coming along. I really enjoy doing these, and I think they are really helpful for people looking to learn a bit about the app and how they can improve. So today's webinar is about design, and I'm going to try and show you how to improve your designs of your Convertri pages, but not by making like massive wholesale changes. I'm not a designer myself. I have picked up a few helpful tips along the way of working here and some best practices. So the things I'm going to share with you are mainly going to be like small and simple changes, but ones that are really effective. That you can make on your pages, and they'll be actionable changes. So you can actually go ahead, try and apply them to your pages straight away. So the format of the webinar is going to be in that of a demo. So we'll have a bit of design theory along the way, but rather than me just sat here like reading out notes to you like it's a lecture, I will actually do a demonstration where I turn what is considered to be a bad designed page into a nicely designed page. And then that will show you how you can implement those changes onto your own pages. So before we jump into the demo, the three main things that I'm going to talk about when it comes to designs are colors, fonts, and like text size, and spacing as well. Now, it may seem like there would be more to making a page look good, but these are kind of the three foundations that we have when we're making pages and we want to make them nicely designed. We'll then have like a bit of a bonus section at the end on how to use click designs with Convertri. So we have an integration with click designs for those of you who don't know, and it's a really great tool that you can use to create some more advanced graphics for your pages. So if you are interested in that, then do stick around for that at the end as well. Now, the first tip I want to talk about isn't actually something on the page. So I'll open up the page now so we can have a look at it. But the first thing I want to talk about is that when you're approaching designing pages, you should try and be smart. And this might sound obvious, but please just hear me out, because what I mean by this is that you should be playing to your strengths. So be efficient with the time you have when you're building your pages. For example, I'm not a designer, and seeing as you guys are watching the webinar to improve your design skills, then I'm guessing you guys aren't designers by trade either. So with that in mind, what I'm trying to say is don't try and do everything yourself. You aren't going to become a world-class designer overnight. So it's important to use like tools, different tools that are available, and shortcuts that will help you level up your page designs in the short term. So these tips today, they're not going to be things that will transform you from not knowing how to design a page into a graphic designer overnight, but they will be actionable things that you can implement on your pages in the short term. And by using them and using tools that go with them, you should see your designs improve without having to try and become a designer yourself. Now, of course, if you are into like improving your design skills for the long term, or maybe trying to become a designer yourself, do spend time on it, be dedicated, put time and maybe even money into it. But for the majority of you, I'm guessing you're just wanting to improve your page designs without having to do that. So with that in mind, as I say, it's important to just be smart, find tools out there that can help do the work for you, which I'll be able to share with you today. And yeah, just use these like little small tips that I'll give you to make those improvements. So I'll touch on that a bit more during the demonstration as well. But yeah, with that in mind, please don't worry. If you're thinking, you know, I can't ever get my pages looking better because I'm not a designer, as I say, neither am I. We're in this together, and I'll be able to help you improve your designs no matter what your skill level is. So we'll have a look at this page. This is the page I've set up. As you can see, it's not very nicely designed, let's put it that way. There's a lot going on here, considering this is a simple opt-in page. So that's what we're going to focus on today. we have like a simple opt-in page here, and yeah, it's very kind of garish. The colors are quite bright. They don't really contrast well. The text spacing and sizing is kind of a little bit mismatched, and we've got some misalignment here with the opt-in form as well. So if you're coming to this page, we'll look at it in the preview mode as well. You're probably not going to be attracted to it, and it's not going to be a nice read if you are trying to read it. So we're going to turn this page into a better design page. And the first thing we're going to do that with is by changing the kind of color scheme. So we've got this weird kind of purple and green matchup going on here, and doesn't really contrast well. So when you are looking at your color scheme for a page, it is important to try and have a color scheme first and foremost. So you don't need to have like a detailed palette or specifics in mind, but it's good to know what kind of look you're going for before you start designing, and then you can kind of build up from there. So that would be my first tip, and also to choose like contrasting colors. So while these two colors do contrast, you can see like we have pink and green, they're opposites essentially. They don't kind of look good on the page together. So you don't want to have colors on top of one another that you can't read easily. And the same really goes for your call to actions. You want them to be contrasted with your background. So this one actually isn't too bad here. This would probably work as a call to action, but going along with everything else, it doesn't look the best. So there is a really good tool that I'd recommend using if you're trying to figure out a color scheme. This isn't a tool in any way a promotion. We're not affiliated with them, but it's something that our designer Matteo uses and has recommended to me. And it's called coolors.co. So COOLORS.co is the site, and this basically allows you to generate color palettes for a page you're making. So you can start a generator and it will give you like a random color palette, and then you can press the space bar to cycle through different options. So this is one way you can find one. Maybe if you don't have any ideas at all, you can see these colors will all go well together on the page. You can remove different ones like so, if you just want 3 colors. And then we also have the option to search through some already generated palettes. So we can have a look at explore palettes, and this will be essentially where like the pre-generated ones sit. And from here, you can get a better idea of the types of colors you can use. And what you can actually do is you can copy the RGB value directly from a color and then go ahead and add it onto your page. So for example, we've copied this kind of orange color. If I then go into my Convertri page and want to change the button appearance, I can just paste that in there, and that will be that exact color that we have from this site into my Convertri page. So it's nice and easy. You don't have to fiddle around with finding like the perfect shade in the color picker. You can just rip it straight from that site. It'll give you the exact value, and then it's easy to get the colors you're looking for. So this is kind of the tool in itself. There are a load of other features. I'm not going to go through those because, as I said, this isn't a promotion. I'm just trying to show you how it works and how you can use it. So you can then filter, like if you do have a color in mind, you could say filter out turquoise and it'll give you all different turquoise ones. I think without having the pro version, so this is obviously just free. You don't have to pay for this. You can't tag 2 things at once. Yeah, so just bear that in mind if you are using this. That's fine. You can go through different styles, different topics even, like for example, Halloween, that's coming up soon, and you'll see you get these kind of orange and purple colors, etc. So I've actually got a palette that I'm going to use for this demo, which I'm just going to go to now already. But as you can see there, that gives you a way of finding colors, and you don't have to use all of them on one page. For example, if you only want to use like 4 variants, you can just copy those 4 and decide where you want to use them. But I'm going to go to my one that I found before the webinar, and this is kind of like a blue palette. So it gives you all different types of blue colors, and that way you know which ones will work together. So if you use any of these really in a combination on a page, they're going to work better than just picking your own one. So with that in mind, we can start by changing the page up a little bit. So first thing we have here is our opt-in form. So I'm going to try and give this one a neutral background. So we'll click to copy the lightest color. It's like a pale blue. And then we'll go to background and we'll paste that in, as I say, and we'll change that one like so. So you can see that's kind of this light blue. And then what we can do is add another panel over here to replace this white background. We'll resize it so it fits the space. And from there, we can copy in the color again. So what you're looking for when you're doing the colors with your pages, guys, is you want to try and have them in sort of like groups. You don't want everything to be the same color, but you actually want to have maybe three things that are going to be the same color, for example. So you can see we've got these two light blue ones, and we'll probably go for that on the background as well. And I'm just thinking as I'm looking at this now, I'm not sure if that kind of pairs that nicely. So what I might do here is change one of them. But we're going to see that as we go along. So we're doing this demo obviously live. So a lot of it is trial and error, and that's the same goes for your guys' pages. So we'll take one of the other shades and we'll use that for the purple background. And then the next thing is going to be to change the call to action button. And we'll go for a kind of brighter version. So maybe this one's quite a nice vibrant blue, because you do want your call to action buttons to be bright. You know, you don't want them to not stand out. And the first thing I'm noticing here already is I'm not too happy with the pale blue here. So I may even just go for the white background on the opt-in form, and that will really make the CTA pop even more. So you can see there with the white, that is coming to life a lot more. So I'm actually going to do that for this one as well as the top one. So you can see now we've got, and just send that backwards so it's not in front of the text. You can see now we've got a few colors on our page using that palette. We might even go for the lighter version of this here. So that one's not really doing too much, so we'll try the next one. So as you can see, we're trial and error really on this is what the name of the game is. So I think that one looks a lot better. And then we now need to change our text styles. So the way I'm going to edit my text styles is not by editing the text element itself. I'm going to go to page and then to default text styles. And from here, I'm going to change the color of my paragraph text. So we want something that's kind of dark and readable easily on the background. So we'll go for the darkest. And that's how you can see we're building up these kind of contrasts. So if we have a light color like this one, then we want this one to be a dark color. So I've changed it on the text style. We'll see if it will change by swapping them here. If not, we'll have to do it manually. Okay, cool. No worries, that's fine. So because I've edited this style already, it won't actually change for us there, but we can do it here, no problem. So we've done that now. You can see that's a lot nicer of a contrast, and we'll do the same font color for all of these. So you can see it would have been a lot easier if the default text style would have updated. So that's a good tip, is when you are editing your pages, always start out by editing the default text style, because if you don't and you make edits directly to your text element, then you're going to have to go through and change it every time, like I am here, which isn't really ideal because it's costing a bit of time, which we don't want to waste. So you can see already we have this much better looking page just by like changing the colors there and using that color palette. So I'm going to just do the last bit, which is the icon. And you can see that's a lot nicer. I can actually read the text on the screen now, which is great. And the next thing we need to look at really is the font. So the font sizings are actually okay on this page. And the way that I've been told by our designer Matteo to do it is to think of it as like multiples of 8. So you can see here we're starting off with 18. So if we add 8 to that, we get 26. Again, we get 34, and then we get after that 42. So we have our headline here, which is 44. We can probably change that down to 42, and that will be a nice contrast with the 18. We then have 18 on all of the text elements here. We have 14 on this one because it's going to be a little bit lower. You could probably even change that down to like a 10, stick with that multiples of 8s, but that is a bit small. So we'll move that up a little bit to 14. Essentially what you don't want, if we change it like so, is you don't want to have a really big heading, like maybe 72, and then a really small text, because obviously, one, that's going to make the page look strange, but it also creates a kind of a weird contrast between the two. This one suddenly become very small compared to this one, which is now quite large. So we'll undo those changes, and that's how you can see there with those contrasts, we get a nice effect with the font sizings. So we've got our font size now set up, and what we also want to fix here is the font itself. So you can see we have this kind of strange script-like font. It's kind of curly, I would say, is the word to describe it. And we also have a different font for our heading. Now, that might be something that you think is necessary to do to make your heading stand out from the main text, but it isn't really necessary when you're making a simple page like an opt-in form. And even if you were to have like a long form sales page, you're not going to get that much benefit from that. And if anything, it may confuse the reader a little bit because they're having to adjust to the font. So what I'd recommend is just choose one font for the page and stick with it. And if you want to get different effects, you can use the tools that we have, like the bold, and even the sizing will allow you to create those contrasts. So I'm going to pick a font now. Again, I'm going to set it up in the default text styles, but I don't think it will change there. Although it looks like it didn't update, so maybe that was why. Okay, so if we go to our heading, I'm going to just choose one that's kind of nice and neutral rather than one of these ones that you may think would be better because it's bold and it has like a different effect. It is probably better to go with the simple option. So DM Sans is what I'm going to go for. I'm going to choose the text color again, and then we'll have it as bold, and we'll go down to 42. So you can see that's now changed, and we'll do the same again for our paragraphing. We'll go DM Sans again, and we'll keep the font size the same. And you can see it's actually changed for us this time, which is nice and helpful. So that's now updated all of the paragraph text without us having to go through and do it. And you can see these two fonts now just match up a lot better. So you still have the contrast between the two because of the sizes, but you don't have to worry about having a separate font for your paragraph text. This now is having a much better effect on the page because it's much more uniformed, it's much more rhythmic. One thing that Matteo spoke to me about before is to try and define a rhythm on your page. And you're not going to have that if you have all these different things like we did with the original, where there's loads of different bright colors that aren't matching. The fonts are different, the sizes are different. So making that rhythm on a page is really important. So one thing to think about while you are designing a page is a rhythm. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to restructure the page a little bit, change the spacing. So as I said at the start, we need to be smart of our pages. So this page was actually started off as a template in Convertri before I edited it to make it look bad for the purposes of the webinar. And that means we had a base structure already with these like two panels creating this kind of columned effect. So with that in mind, I would always recommend starting off with a Convertri template if you are new to designing pages rather than building one out from scratch. That way you'll have like a base for the page that you can edit off, and usually then all you'll be doing is changing small things. You'll have the design in place. If you are looking to build out your own pages, try and kind of create sections within pages. So you can see here we have this top section, which is like the header. That might be where you have your logo and your company name. You could even have a menu in here. And then we'll have, as you'll see in a moment, we've got a section here on the left, which we're going to transform the text over there. And we'll have one on the right where we would have the opt-in page. the opt-in form, sorry, and then we'll have this footer at the bottom again. So we're bookending the page with those two. And then we have our main content nicely laid out. So if we go over and take a look at Convertri's website, you'll see that again in the same format. So you've got a top header here, which is like one section. We then have this hero section, but you'll notice we've got our text and this image here with our buttons on the left, creating one column, and then the image on the right. We then have another section. So this is separated out, and we have like equal spacing here. And then that's broken down into another section. And you can see as we go through the page here, we're breaking it down by swapping colors of the background. And that's kind of what we've done here. We've given the two sections a different color. So you can clearly see that they are to be viewed separately. So I'm going to reposition the text now. By doing that, I'm going to just make it smaller on this side. We'll have it go over 2 lines like that, and we'll do the same for our main text. And then we're going to move our opt-in form over, and I'm going to actually have it straddling the 2 sections like so. And then I'm going to move over my text so it's alongside it, and the same with my main heading. And then you can see we have a few discrepancies here, but we can fix those up, and we might even want to increase the spacing between the panel a little bit as well. So we have this better layout now. We have a bit of a gap here. So one thing I'm going to do is add another panel on the top here, and just kind of make that a little bit smaller, and just give a little bit of a like heading to this page there. So one thing to bear in mind as well when you are doing your resizing in Convertri is we actually have positioning tools in the element properties. So with this, you can make sure they are exactly the same if you're lining stuff up. So I can see I've got my panel width here is 452, and that's the same for this one. And we've also got the X positioning, which is where it sits across the page. We have that as the same. So I know they're perfectly lined up. So I'll go ahead and change the background of that as well to match our text color. That gives it a nice added feel to the page. And then what we want to do here is just make sure our spacing is nice for the text as well. So I'm going to be able to do that with the tools in the positioning menu. So that's definitely worth having open when you're doing this kind of thing. And that way you can get the exact positioning that you're looking for. So we want to kind of have about an 80 pixel gap between things on the page so that it has a nice spacing. So the way that Convertri does the positioning is the X positioning is from the left part of the element. So we're not going to just be able to have X positioning 474 and then this one as like minus 80 or 474. What we're going to have is minus 80 like so. So if we do it from this menu, you'll see it's not going to go like that. So we'll have the 474, and then it needs to be minus 80 of that. So just doing a bit of quick maths here, we would need that to be about minus 124, I think it would be. Let me just get the calculator up there. So we have our spacing there, and then we can do the same with the main heading text. And you can see we now have this nicely spaced gap between the two elements. And we can do the same with the y-axis positioning. So we have the heading here, and then we have this space in between it as well. So that's going to look a lot nicer now. And as you can see there, our page is looking pretty good. If we compared it to our bad design, it would be a lot better. And I should have actually cloned that one at the start rather than just building it off the top so we could look at it together. But we've got our page now. This is going to be our finalized version of the page. And if we preview it, you'll be able to see the difference that those simple changes have made. And we actually have something else to do, which I missed. So it's a good job we did preview that. So you can see we've got our opt-in form here, and this is going to be the last thing we do, which is some more spacing with that as well. So we're going to go to our opt-in form here, and you can see we have all these elements. So we have this one. Now we don't want to select that. We just want to select this one. So we're shift clicking here to select all of these elements. And then what we're going to do is use Convertri's alignment tools to align them to the center, well, actually we need to select the panel to do that. So we'll center align those. That's going to align them to the center of this panel. And then if we do the shift click on all of these, what we can do with that is use the distribute vertically tool, and that will put the exact amount of space between them. So that's a little bit close. So what I'm going to do is move this one down and move this one up. And now we should be able to get a bit better spacing in between those because we have a bit more room to play with. So these tools are really helpful because when you are doing spacing, as you saw a moment ago, it can be difficult to work out the exact spacing. So by doing it with this tool, you have now exact spacing in between each element. And that will allow us to have a nicely laid out opt-in. So we've aligned them all to the center, which is great, but we actually want a few of them to be over to the left. So instead of doing it manually, I'm just going to move it with the X positioning because that will allow me to get the exact same one. So we have 522 is what we're going for. And we'll actually do it as the same one as the text element as well. So that's nicely lined up. I'm going to center align this bit of text because that's our kind of heading. And now we have a nicely aligned opt-in form. One other tip that I will do as well here is you can actually add a nice outline effect onto your mouse over. So you could have like a border here. If we add like a border width of 2 to both of these, and then what we can do is on mouse over, we can change the border color to that of our CTA, which we'll just need to grab now from the background. And this will just make it clear that you've actually hovered over this one, that you've selected it. So borders, mouse over, like so. And then now if we go into our preview of our completed page, we'll be able to see those kind of things playing out on the page. So we've got our nice opt-in page here. It's very simple. As I said, simplicity is going to be your friend when you're designing pages. And you can see we have this nice hover effect here when we're hovering over our different elements. So that's the main demo done for the transformation of the bad page to a good page. Does anyone have any questions at all about that? Anything they wanted to show me to show again before we move on to the clip design section? I can see a couple of questions in here from Chandra, which I'll go through now. So he's asked, does H1 and H2 help in SEO? Not that I'm aware of. It's more for the page on-page stuff. It may help with like accessibility, but it's not something that I would be majorly concerned with for SEO. The downside of using different fonts is really, as I mentioned, like going to be the readability of the page. Those contrasts may seem good when you're having different fonts, but you can see we're achieving different contrasts just by having the different sizes there. So I wouldn't worry about too many different font sizes there at all. The green lines here are just the page width. So this one and this one, the vertical ones, are just for the device width. So they're not actually going to affect what's displayed on the live page, but they are a rough guide. You can change these in the guidelines option. So you can go 1280, which is a more standard monitor size nowadays. If you click done, you'll see that's going to be wider. So anything in that safe zone will definitely appear on a device that has a width of 1280. So you now know that anything in here will be shown. So that's a good way to make sure you're seeing what your users will see. Obviously, you have the preview option as well, which is great. And then we've got a question about mobile. So I'll have a look at the mobile version. It's going to be quite different because we added a few elements, but we can remobilize it to get it back to its original conversion. And you can see we're going to have a bit of differences with this one because we've got these two elements that are kind of in the same space. So it's not adding them in the right place there. So the mobile version on this one would probably need a change, but all you could do to fix that is hide that element on mobile, select this panel, remove the white space above and move it up like so that we have it here. And then we probably want to readjust this as well, like so. But this could actually be achieved by putting a panel behind the two. So I will show you a quick tip with that as well, because it's going to be worth those kind of tips as well when you are designing your page. So if we now send this backwards once and twice, this now contains, we make it contain both of these. And then we'll make this one be basically invisible by having a transparent background. If we now go to mobile and remobilize it, you can see it's not quite done it because the panel is quite wide. If we bring it closer still, just make sure the text element is smaller. So we've contained those now. Align it to the center, and you can see it's now done that for us. So again, there are things you could maybe change here, but this page looks fine on mobile as it is. You might maybe want to move this, hide this as well, so that you just have your opt-in form. But you can see when you have a layout that's kind of side by side like this, it will look a bit different on mobile because you just don't have that kind of space. But, you know, a couple of edits there took us all of 2 minutes and the mobile page is looking good. So it's worth checking that definitely. But you can definitely do things to the page to build it out to mobilize nicely. Yeah, you can remobilize sections. I just remobilized all there because that is basically what I wanted to happen, everything to remobilize. Remobilizing the page will just remobilize this page, and that means no layers would be effective if you had layers. Remobilizing the section will remobilize just the panel. So if you made a change to this and then you remobilized just the section, it would do that one for you. Okay, so a bit conscious of time, so I do want to move on to the click design stuff to let you know about that and the tool that you can use. As I say, we do have an integration with it. So if you go to account and integrations, you'll see click designs here. If you have an account already, you can integrate it by just copying your API key. If you don't, you can sign up for one using this link here. And we do have a special offer for Convertri members. This isn't loading because we're on Zoom as well. But if you click this link, we have a special offer for Convertri members. Currently, the price for that is $697, and that's lifetime. We are actually running a special offer on Click Designs next week. So starting from Tuesday, you'll be able to get that exact same package for $497 rather than $697. And that will be everything with Click Designs. And if you look on that sales page, it will show you what's included with that. So we'll show you what type of things Click Designs can do now. So if I open my page here, this is like a demo sales page. And what we want to add in here is a couple of mock-up style things like this. So, and also we're going to have a kind of choose your plan section. And these are things that may be difficult to build out originally, but with Click Designs, it does it all for you, which is a really useful tool. So to start off, we'll just have a look around. You can see we have all these different graphics, and these are built out for you. So if you want to have kind of like, for example, we could use this one on our page. you can see we've got different levels of subscriptions, and we are actually going to use this template and save it as our plan choice. So you can see once you've used that template, you then have the option to edit it. Click Designs is running a bit slower because we're on the webinar, but you can see here we can edit this. So I can edit the text, I can edit what it says, I could edit the colors, for example, have a color picker. So you can do all this stuff. You get basically the custom graphics that you can then customize for your own pages. So that's a really good part of Click Designs, is that as much as you're having basically stuff built for you, you can customize it as well. And then what you can do in Convertri is you can actually add these designs to your page by just adding an image and then clicking import from Click Designs. This will then give you all the stuff in your account. So you can see this plan choice one that I just made is now here. And as simple as that, I can add it to my page. And I can now have this on my page as if I've just designed this myself. So as I say, for using tools, it's really important to kind of get ones that will be efficient, and remember that you're not going to be able to do all of this stuff overnight. So it's important to use those kinds of tools to your advantage. So we've got our choose your plan stuff there, and we want to have a kind of computer screen device one here. So to do that, you can see we have devices. So if we go over to devices, we're on my design. So if we go back to templates and then devices, you'll see we have all these different options here. So you can have like a little Mac screen, you can have one with a video if you're offering training, and then what you'd be able to do is edit that image behind it of one of your own. So if we have a look at this one, we use this iMac one. And then what we can do is edit it. So for example, if we wanted to edit this image, just click on it and click edit. You can then like delete the image by selecting the options and deleting them. You can edit the text. So we could have like Convertri, and then we could align that to the middle. See, we have alignment tools, and then we could have the panel builder. And if we delete that, what we can then do is add an image. So we can upload from our computer. So you need to have like your images ready. And then we can actually select that one to be added. And we can either choose to send it backwards and display the text that we added there, which might not look great because this has a lot of stuff going on really on this image. But we could maybe just see if it looks right with black. So yeah, it's not really going to do much there. So we'll take that off. And what we've got now is just a simple image on here. But if we save and exit that and preview it, you can see it's now been framed with this like kind of Mac design. So if we now save this, and then exit, and if we go back to Convertri, you can see rather than just adding the image, so if we were to just add the image by uploading it, so if I go to my home folder, upload, and choose that exact same image, let's just change to most recent, and click select. You can see it doesn't look terrible on the page here in the middle, but it's kind of missing something. It looks maybe a little bit unprofessional. It's just like an image stuck on the page. If instead we use the one from Click Designs, which has been done for us, you can do exactly the same, select it. It's got that nice shadow effect. It looks a lot more realistic, like it's actually a device. We can resize that, put it in the middle, and that looks a lot better than just the image. So you can see with those kind of custom built graphics, you're going to be able to do the kind of things you can see on the Convertri website. Scroll down to see a few more. You can see we have these kind of mock-ups and they look really cool on the site there. So this is the kind of thing you'll be able to do. As I mentioned, you've got these other choices as well. And there's even some more custom graphic stuff that you can have, like this kind of thing, like bundles you can do. You can have avatars on your pages, and you can edit all of these images so you could add the image of your products instead. So we'll have a look at one more device. We'll have a look at the phones, and we'll add one of those in. And again, it's going to be a similar thing. We'll just use the template and we'll edit it easily enough. Again, we're just going to delete the image on screen. See, we can just delete all these elements. Get our blank canvas and zoom out so we can see most of it. Then we can add our image. Like so. So for example, we wanted to show off like a membership site on a Convertri device. We could have this. The image I've got here is actually quite low quality, but you can see the kind of thing you can do with it. So you can stretch it around to fit the screen and that kind of thing. So this is just a really good tool. As I mentioned at the start, being smart with designing is going to be one of the most important things. So having a tool like this where you can easily get mock-ups of box shots of covers, you can even have logos as well. And it's just going to really help you when you're designing your pages, especially if you are building out a brand. It's important to have these kind of professional looking graphics, and couple that with the simplicity tactics that we spoke about earlier. Your pages are going to be looking really, really great. So with Click Designs, as I mentioned, we're running a special offer on that next week from Tuesday. So you'll be able to get that, and we'll be emailing out. It's $497 for a lifetime subscription to Click Designs, where you'll be able to get all those really great custom graphics and do the kind of editing that is just not possible in Convertri at the moment with those kinds of templates. So those kind of graphic templates, and that's why we've made it really easy to add them into the app. So that's going to be the end of the webinar today, guys. I hope that was useful. We will have the question and answer section now. So if you do have questions, please do get them in and I'll go through and do my best to answer them all. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Please let me know if it was helpful. And as always, thank you for joining. Okay, so I've got one question here coming already. What's the benefit of lock position? So lock position, it kind of does exactly that. It just locks something on the page. I guess you could say the benefit of it would be that you can't move it around. So it's just going to be useful if you're like moving a lot of stuff, then you won't accidentally move it, for example. So in terms of the purpose of it, it's just really to help you avoid moving things around if you're happy with it. You're welcome. I can see guys saying thank you in the chat, so you're welcome. Diane, Ian, Cynthia, yeah, you're very welcome. I'm glad it was helpful, and hopefully these tips will be very actionable for your page, and you can see how a bad page was turned into a nicely designed page. Cool, so I can't see many questions coming in. I've got one from Carol, where can I find templates? So I'm in my funnel here, Carol. So once you've got a funnel, if you go to new page, you'll then see all the different templates here, and you can easily scroll through them, and you can also reorder them as well to our template themes, or you can choose like the different types as well as that. And we have standalone ones which aren't part of a set. And this is where you can find all the different templates. So just clicking on new page will bring that up. Yeah, there's going to be a recording of this, and the recording will be out. I'll try and get it out tomorrow, if not at the start of next week. And that'll be going out, yeah, in the knowledge base is where you'll be able to find it. Okay, cool. I'm glad loads of you enjoyed that. Please do make sure to put those actionable tips into use when you're doing your pages. I'm sure you'll see the results that you're after. So thank you all very much for joining me today. Hopefully I'll see you around for the next one. And if not, then please do make sure to email us if you have any questions at all about anything, support@convertri.com. So thanks again, guys. Have a good day, and I'll see you around very soon.